The Deputy Director for Tax and Financial Sector Policy at National Treasury has explained to the public about how VBS Mutual Bank found itself where it is now. There's been criticism levelled against the Reserve Bank, with many saying curatorship should have been the last resort. But Momoniat explains why this was the best decision for the bank.
When we say we put it under curatorship, the first intention is always to save the bank. And to save the bank firstly from its management and its board, because they've made decisions on the business model, and clearly if there's a failure, their business model has failed. So you actually remove them from the picture. Okay, shareholders also could lose all their value, and then you bring in new management. They actually nurse the bank back to health.
Some have questioned the policy that governs mutual banks differently compared to commercial banks. National Treasury says it has been working to try and find an orderly resolution to the problem of municipalities placing deposits with VBS in contravention of the MFMA since late 2016. Section 7 of the Municipal Finance Management Act states that a municipality may not open a bank account with a mutual bank.
What VBS did was firstly only get money from municipalities, and it does appear to me that they were going around actively, even when they knew it was illegal and they were talking to us, they were getting more and more municipalities to deposit their funds there.
So they were canvassing the...
It appears so, but let the curator check those facts out, okay? That's why we have a curatorship. And then they were making loans that were long-term in nature. And so at some point, obviously, some municipality would have come for its funds, and they couldn't pay out, and they didn't have the money because they had already loaned this out. Now that's a structural problem in a bank. All banks try and take short-term money and lend long-term, but the difference here is they only had a few municipalities. Normally a bank will have thousands of other retail customers. They're not all going to pull their money out unless there's a crisis or there's a bank run. So firstly, it looks like VBS, and you know, we're talking after the fact, clearly that they had some structural problem in the way they were doing banking. Two, it does seem they were actively getting municipal accounts. So it wasn't just a case of phasing out that they just happened to see these were not legal, that they told us. We actually knew before they told us. And we tried to, as Treasury, help them to phase this, the way the municipalities responded. And there was a circular sent to about 6 or 7 municipalities. And that was out in August. Many municipalities didn't appear to have taken out all their money. They were still there. And a lot of the withdrawal problem seems to be towards the end of last year and this month. And there was no circular.
Now former VBS chairperson Chifiwa Matodzi penned a letter to the Reserve Bank a few days before the bank was placed under curatorship. The letter criticized Treasury's lack of intervention when the bank raised its concerns regarding liquidity challenges that stemmed from municipalities withdrawing their funds invested with the bank. Treasury says, contrary to Matodzi's claims, it never instructed municipalities to withdraw their deposits in VBS. All it did was to issue a communication to selected municipalities, drawing attention to legal requirements as part of its monitoring and compliance functions.
We were very surprised when a chair on Friday issued this open letter to say we are going to go into curatorship. What do you think when a bank says we're going into curatorship? What do you think is going to happen? All the depositors are going to run, and he's going to create a bank failure by the very fact that he's made that announcement. You never ever do that. And I think that was also pretty reckless behavior that needs to look at. He was trying to score political points, but in doing so, he was actually condemning his own bank, and that actually accelerated the process of putting the bank into curatorship.
Treasury says the rationale for restricting municipalities and their entities from placing funds into mutual banks is meant to ensure that the funds meant for service delivery were managed as responsibly as possible. Diabosito, SABC News, Johannesburg.